Have you ever considered the paradox of choice in our daily lives? It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? This idea that as humans we are inherently drawn to the allure of options, yet paradoxically an abundance of choices can lead to less happiness, not more. Let's delve into the concept of the paradox of choice. It's an idea that's been floating around for a while, gaining traction in the early 2000s with the work of psychologist Barry Schwartz. In essence, it suggests that while we may believe more options provide us with greater freedom and satisfaction, the opposite is often true. Imagine being in a store, faced with 50 different brands of toothpaste. You'd think that having all those options would make it easier to find the perfect one, right? Surprisingly, that's not always the case. In fact, too many choices can lead to a kind of paralysis, a state of anxiety and indecision, where we find it difficult to make a choice at all. And even when we do manage to make a choice, we're often left with a lingering sense of regret. Did we make the right decision? Was there a better option out there? This regret can diminish the satisfaction we get from our choice, leaving us feeling less happy than if we'd had fewer options to begin with. Moreover, the paradox of choice also comes with the burden of high expectations. With so many options at our disposal, we naturally expect to find the perfect one. But when reality fails to meet these lofty expectations, we're bound to be disappointed. Several studies have supported this notion. One such research, conducted by Iyengar and Lepper, found that while a larger selection of options attracted more people, those who were given fewer options were more likely to make a choice and were ultimately more satisfied with their decision. So while we often crave more options, they can sometimes lead to less satisfaction. This is the paradox of choice, a fascinating quirk of human psychology that continues to baffle and intrigue us. But is the paradox of choice always a bad thing? Let's delve into the counter-argument that suggests otherwise. There are those who argue that more choices can indeed be a boon, leading to greater autonomy and self-expression. They view the abundance of options as an opportunity to tailor their lives to their unique needs and desires. This perspective sees choice as a means of empowerment, allowing individuals to shape their world in ways that align with their personal values and aspirations. Consider the rise of custom-made products and services. From personalized skincare regimens to bespoke furniture, consumers now have the liberty to dictate the specifics of what they purchase. This wave of customization is seen as a clear indication of the value of choice. It's a trend that's reshaping industries, reflecting a desire for individuality and uniqueness. Moreover, there's a body of research that supports this viewpoint. Several studies suggest that having more options can lead to greater satisfaction. For instance, a study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that people who were given a larger selection of chocolates were more satisfied with their choice than those who were presented with fewer options. Another interesting example is the digital music industry. Remember the days of being limited to the albums available in the local music store? Today we have access to millions of songs from around the globe, all at our fingertips. This has undeniably enriched our music experience, allowing us to discover genres and artists we might never have encountered otherwise. That said, this counter-argument does not dismiss the potential downsides of too much choice. It simply highlights the potential benefits that can come from a wide array of options. It's an acknowledgement that while the paradox of choice is a real phenomenon, it's not universally detrimental. Clearly, the relationship between choice and happiness is not always straightforward. The key lies in understanding the nuanced interplay between choice, autonomy, and satisfaction. As we'll see in the following sections, this balance is influenced by a variety of factors, including individual differences and the nature of the choices themselves. How does our personality shape our reaction to choice? As we delve into the role of individual differences, it's crucial to understand that each of us is wired differently. We all have unique personality traits, and these traits can significantly sway how we respond to choice. Take, for instance, the need for cognition. This is a term psychologists use to describe a person's yearning to engage in and enjoy tasks that require thinking. Some people relish the challenge of having multiple options to consider. They relish analyzing, comparing, and contrasting. It's not just about making a choice, it's about the intellectual journey that leads to that choice. On the other side of the spectrum, we have individuals who are less inclined to engage in cognitive efforts. They prefer simplicity and clarity. They'd rather have a clear, straightforward choice than navigate a sea of options. It isn't that they can't make complex decisions, but they find the process more tedious than enjoyable. Then there's the desire for novelty. Some people are always on the hunt for new experiences, new products, new ideas. They see a vast array of options as an opportunity to explore and discover. They're the adventurous types, those who would gladly dive headfirst into a pool of choices. On the contrary, some people value familiarity and consistency. They find comfort in what they already know and understand. They'd rather stick with a tried-and-true option than venture into the unknown. Research in psychology supports these observations. Studies have shown that personality traits, such as the need for cognition or the desire for novelty, can significantly influence our reaction to choice. That said, it's important to remember that these traits exist on a spectrum. It's not a simple dichotomy of this or that. Our personalities are intricate tapestries woven from a multitude of threads. So, as we navigate through life's many choices, let's remember that our responses are deeply personal and unique. They're a reflection of who we are, shaped by our individual differences. Our unique personality traits can significantly influence how we respond to having multiple options. What happens when the number of choices becomes overwhelming? This question brings us to the concept of choice overload, a psychological phenomenon that occurs when we're presented with too many options. Let's picture this. Imagine you're online shopping for a simple white shirt. You type in white shirt, and suddenly you're bombarded with thousands of results. There are different brands, different styles, different fabrics, different prices. Suddenly, that simple task of buying a white shirt doesn't seem so simple anymore. This is a prime example of choice overload, where the excessive amount of options leads to decision paralysis. You're stuck, overwhelmed, unsure of which white shirt is the best choice. And even when you do finally make a decision, you're left with a lingering feeling of dissatisfaction. You question whether you made the right choice, or if one of the other thousands of options would have been better. Dating apps are another arena where choice overload is rampant. With the swipe of a finger, you have access to thousands of potential partners. But when faced with so many options, making a choice becomes daunting. You might find yourself endlessly swiping, stuck in a cycle of indecision. Even our leisure time is not immune to choice overload. Streaming services offer thousands of movies and TV shows at our fingertips. But how often have you found yourself scrolling through endless options, unable to decide what to watch? Instead of enjoying a movie, you're stuck in the paradox of choice, the endless options leading to an inability to make a decision. Indeed, choice overload can lead to a decrease in satisfaction and an increase in anxiety and stress. It's an ironic twist to the perceived notion of choice equating to freedom. Too much choice can instead feel like a trap, leading to paralysis rather than liberation. And so we find ourselves in a paradox. In our quest for the perfect choice, we're often left unsatisfied, overwhelmed by the sheer number of options. In the face of endless options, we can find ourselves unable to make any choice at all. So, where does this leave us? We've journeyed through the paradox of choice, countered the argument, explored the influence of individual differences, and examined the impact of choice overload. Now it's time to tie all these threads together and find the right balance. Let's recap. The paradox of choice suggests that while choice is fundamentally good, too many choices can lead to anxiety, stress, and dissatisfaction. However, we've also seen that not everyone responds to choice in the same way. Some revel in the abundance of options while others feel overwhelmed. The impact of choice overload is real and it can significantly affect our satisfaction and well-being. So, how do we find that sweet spot, the balance between choice and satisfaction? Firstly, it's crucial to acknowledge the paradox of choice. Recognize that more isn't always better. Sometimes, limiting your options can actually increase your satisfaction. This could mean narrowing down your choices in a restaurant menu or committing to a single project rather than juggling multiple ones at work. Secondly, know yourself. Understand your personal reaction to choice. If you're someone who tends to get overwhelmed, it may be helpful to simplify your decision-making process. This could involve categorizing your options or seeking advice from trusted sources. Finally, allow yourself the freedom to make mistakes. Decisions don't have to be perfect. Aiming for good enough rather than the best can alleviate the pressure that comes with having too many choices. Remember, finding the right balance is a personal journey. What works for one person may not work for another. It takes time, introspection, and a willingness to experiment with different strategies. Ultimately, understanding the paradox of choice can help us make more satisfying decisions and lead happier lives. So, let's embrace the journey and remember, it's not about having all the choices in the world, but about making the choices that truly matter to us.